Alright, so today you find us at Dumbarton Castle. Somewhere I've been before, but not for some time. So the castle is really important in the history of Glasgow. So it dates back to at least the 5th century, and it's been continuously occupied practically since then. Famously, it was besieged by the Vikings from Dublin in the year 870, and after a 4-month siege it finally capitulated, and that was because the well ran dry. We'll see the well later on when we get to the top of the hill. You've got to be impressed by the amount of stairs you have to climb in this place. I can't remember the exact number, but it's quite a lot. Now this is Dumbarton Rock, which is a volcanic plug. Very important in dowsing terms because you have a lot of earth energies manifesting at volcanic plugs. I mean, just look at the amount of stairs we're going up here. It's quite something. I want to turn around and show you this staircase. Look at that. Nice little model in the guardhouse here, showing the flotilla of ships leaving for France, carrying the young 6-year-old Mary Queen of Scots after her marriage with the Dauphin and her 12-year absence from Scotland. So Dumbarton means Fort of the Britons, and this was the home of the Britons. The rock was called Alt Clut, or Dunbarton, and the Britons were the Brythonic Celtic tribe that ruled all the way down to practically the northern part of Cumbria. So let's carry on up to the top. You can see how easily this place was to defend. I mean, it's practically impregnable. The Vikings famously attacked it from both sides. They actually had their main base in Dublin at the time. All of the Western Isles down the west coast was held by the Norsemen, and so they attacked with a flotilla of ships from Dublin coming up the Clyde. Some of the ships actually sailed up Loch Long, and they carried the boats over a small isthmus of land into Loch Lomond, sailed down Loch Lomond, and then came down River Leven to besiege the castle from behind. So in terms of Harry Bell's Glasgow network, Dumbarton Castle sits at the end of a line extending from Camp Hill, and it runs through Inchinnan, particularly through St Gonville's Chariot and the Argylestone. Also goes through the Templar Church at All Hallows Inchinnan, and through Inchinnan New, where you can still see some of the intricately carved Templar gravestones. And then the next thing that comes through is Dumbarton Rock. So it's not a major line in Harry's network, but it is important because of the history of the place. The fact that this was the seat of power of the Britons until it fell to the Vikings after the 4-month siege in 870, and then the seat of power moves up to Partick and Govan in what was then becoming Strathclyde. So a hugely significant spot, and quite an amazing castle to come and visit. So I'm standing in the well here. You can see behind me the water level is quite high, and this is actually quite high up in the overall hill here. And you can see that they say that when the Vikings besieged this in the year 870 AD, the well kept them going for 4 months before it ran dry, and that's when they had to capitulate and give up the castle to the Vikings. But the fact that it's this high is very significant. Shows you what sort of artesian pressure there is. But this is an old volcano. This is a volcanic plug. So lots of good energies here. This rising water source is very beneficial energies in dowsing terms. Of course, the rock is really two rocks. It's not just one. The staircase that we came up actually goes up the middle, and behind me you can see the second summit. I'm actually up on top of the first one here, and behind me here, this building is actually built as a powder magazine, and it stores something like 160 barrels of gunpowder during the Napoleonic Wars. Okay, so here we are inside the powder magazine. This was built in the 16th century, I think, and it's on one peak of the hill, well away from the living quarters. As you can imagine, you don't want this lot going up accidentally. So, Powder Magazine, built in 1748, shortly after the 45 Jacobite Rising. During the Rising, the dangers of storing poorly protected gunpowder were witnessed when the magazine at Fort Augustus blew up after taking a direct hit. That would have been a big bang. I'll say one thing, these soldier guys must have been very fit if you're running up and down here every day. Especially if you're carrying weapons and ammunition and stuff. Now here we are at the highest point, the old Ordnance Survey trig point marker. These aren't actually used nowadays, but when they were surveying Britain, they would come up here with their theodolites, which would plug into this hole on the top. And the angles would show you where the next trig point was. So you can then calculate the distance and work out the width of Britain and the length of Britain. Quite remarkable. Because nowadays it's all GPS. You have to feel sorry for the poor people who had to lug up all this concrete and stuff to actually make these trig points.